What's up everyone, Blade here, and welcome back to another video of Persona 5X. In today's video, guys, we're going to be going over a couple characters or just characters from 3.0 upwards that you guys are probably going to want to invest into for a mental image. Now, mental image for a lot of you guys is a little bit new. This is called the Mindscape function, I think, on global here, and it's where you click the little circle button that allows you to use like the new currency that you get from COLLAB. Now, this is a very important one because a lot of you guys have already been asking me who you should invest into. I've been getting questions like this for a couple days now, so I thought, hey, let's go ahead and rate each character on why you would probably want to go ahead and get these up here. But the first thing I do have to say is do keep in mind, this list is going to be subjective. Honestly, these are going to be ones that I advise a lot of you guys to invest into, either because they are very good generalistically wise, or either they're characters that are just absolutely busted or meta and such like that. So if you are a person who honestly just like a character, do what you want to do. At the end of the day, it is your account here. I'm just a person who's going to try and give as much advice as possible. So without further ado, get straight into the video. So when it does come down to this whole list here, I ended up pulling up the timeline, especially when it does come down to the characters coming up. And I'm going to try to do every last character up to the most current one here being Shun. Now, of course, there is a lot of things to go about this and a lot of things to think about, but obviously I think you guys would probably prefer it this way, seeing it does give you a little bit of future insight. So this is how we're going to try to do it. So starting from 3.0, we have obviously Frost Scale Katone. Now, this is probably one character that, as good as she is at certain timings, I wouldn't invest into their standpoint, or at least their mental images here. And the main reason that I say this is because DPSs in all of my thought processes are all of my times here, unless I'm heavily duping them out as an A6 character or A3, or they're just getting dupes in general, I don't really go for mental images. We can see this when it does come down to like Yusuke, for example, where I wouldn't really invest into it. I think for Frost Scale Mont, I did do so. And this was just out of sheer praying that I can make her good, and it still didn't do enough for her. So like, I wouldn't invest really in her Mindscape value. Although if you go ahead and take a look exactly what it does do, she's able to get a decent bit of work out of it, seeing it gives her crit rate, it boosts up her skill 1, her highlight, skill 2, and skill 3. I still just wouldn't find it necessary because the character is going to drop off. Now granted, if you love the character, invest in her Mindscape. It's pretty darn worth it. But if you do want my opinion on it, it's just not worth getting this character on up. As for the next unit that we're going to go ahead and go over, this is going to be Howler. Now, Howler is another character that I do believe is insanely good, but the only problem with her is you wouldn't go for her Mindscapes unless you are already planning to go for the Mindscapes with Katone. And this is something I truly do believe, seeing that, to be honest, Howler as a debuffer isn't the best. She's definitely a character that can be used here every once in a while, but if you're not going for a character that is truly meant for follow-ups, aka Frost Scale Katone, or either just a person that truly has to rely on her, which isn't many characters, there's no real point into getting her Mindscape. The only thing that she gets out of it that's really helpful is going to be mainly her skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, and her highlight bonuses. As for the other stats, they're kind of just there where you're able to get damage bonus out of it, and then element accuracy, in which is called what's it called, element accuracy on global. So I mean, like, it's pretty decent, but at the same time it's not really necessary, especially for if you're trying to get prepared with other characters and really utilize them. Keep in mind, your supporters are probably going to be your strongest characters, so I mean, like, those would be more worth it in the long run. Now, going ahead and talking about 3.2, this is where things get a little bit shaky, and the reason why I say this is because this is probably the first character that I believe a lot of you guys as a DPS should probably get her mental image stacks. And this character is going to be Kasumi. Now, Kasumi is a very, very strong character. She's one of the few characters that I do advise getting her mental image stacks. The only reason why I didn't do it is because I kind of ran out of resources very early in. This was before I started like actually spending a little bit more here than I normally would. And at this point in time, I gotta say the character's okay, but she's honestly not too good. She's not too good. Honestly, very good. She's very good at what she does, but if I was able to do this earlier, obviously I would invest it. If I was not able to do it earlier, or how it is now, I'm not going to invest into this anymore, so because it's just not worth it. There's better ST characters out there that I feel like would use this way more, at least for a better good or better cause than she would. Now, anyone on global, when she does come out, I highly do advise you guys to go ahead and get her fully duped out with her Mindscape, mainly because if you have her Mindscape, she's getting crit rate out of it, damage bonus, and then obviously the occasional, or at least the everyday upgrades to her skills and highlight that makes her immensely better. Her crit rate is going to end up going up to a lovely amount of 12%, while her damage bonus goes up to 16%, so this is actually very, very valuable. Though when it comes down to DPSs, which is why I say it's shaky, it honestly comes down to your own thought process on this one. This is not a character that you're going for. Obviously, you don't have to worry about their mental images. If this is not a character that you are going to be using all the time, well then you don't have to worry about her mental images. It's honestly up to you. But going ahead and looking at the next character that we're going to talk about, this one is going to be Win Fast. And I'm just going to keep it short and sweet for her. Please do help yourself out, get all of her mental images up here. The reason that I say this is because her mental images not only help out her attack, which is already good, that's just more stats that you don't have to at least embed into her character, but it also is very helpful for all of her skills, and in her main thing being crit damage. More crit damage that you have on this character, the better buffer she's going to end up being. So I do advise for a lot of you guys, not to mention she is a supporter, you'll want to invest into her mental images. Going ahead and looking at the next character after here is going to be Rin Lion Dance. Now Rin Lion Dance is in a very interesting spot here where I feel like she is insanely good. She's still pretty decent now today, but obviously we have a ton of different other AoE characters that are a little bit better than her. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, honestly. If you're a person who's going for a Rin, or at least Rin Lion Dance here, I definitely say invest into her actual mental images. The character that you're going for, DPS that you're going for. But the only reason that I really do say invest into her is because her stats that she's actually giving isn't all too bad. If anything, if you don't want the attack stat that you do get here, at least get up her crit damage stat, because getting any crit damage stats in a mental image section is really good. So on the off chance that like you're pulling for the character automatically, especially if they're a character that's insanely good to you, obviously you're going to get them up. But the real reason that this character, I do believe, is going to make a lot of people get her up, especially if they pull for her and they are planning to use her, it's because the crit damage mental image. Definitely worth going ahead and investing in, especially if you do like the character. So I think you guys should go ahead and do so. Now, when it does come down to the next character that we're going to go ahead and talk about here, this is going to be Matoi. Now, Matoi is a debuffer that I know a lot of you guys are most likely going to be pulling for, especially if you are playing with CNY Rin here, mainly because she is CNY Rin's favorite debuffer and pretty much perfect character. She amplifies the technicals that are allowed to be used, which is a huge deal when it does come down to that deal in the first place. With the things that she ends up having here, it actually does affect her set completely and affects her a lot here, seeing that not only is she getting, of course, the casual buffs, but with this she's getting element accuracy. Element accuracy is the main thing that she uses inside of her entire kit, so getting a direct buff to this is automatically great. If you wanted to as well, you could very well skip out on the extra damage bonus, but once again, if you're investing into a character, you usually try to full send as much as possible, especially when it does come down to the investment. I would advise this character actually going ahead and invest into their Mindscape, mainly because not only is she just used for Rin Lion Dance, but she's one of the best debuffers in the game, besides of course our girl Katayama here, but still an insanely good debuffer with a ton of uses, especially for our AoE DPS. So honestly, it's not a bad idea if you wanted to go ahead and get her up, especially for the mental image side. I said especially way too many times. Gotta mark that off inside of my notes. But going on to our next character, Goro Akechi. No, just no. If you like the character, go ahead and do what you want to do, but I say avoid his mental images at all costs. I got, of course, his outer ring and then one of each ring, but that was just because I decided to swim in a couple of my mats and just use them like a madman. But if you want my opinion, don't invest in this guy. He's not worth it. Going on to one of our another characters here in 3.7 that should be popping up is going to be Turbo. And all I have to say is yes, this is a character you want to highly invest in. Once again, she is a supporter. Supporters are insanely worth it. And with what she has inside of her kit, other than just her base amount of things here, she's getting crit rate buffs, which are actually really good for her either way, because if you can crit, you're able to easily get a knock on their down points here and easily get some extra damage off, which she does deal a decent bit of damage as well for a buffer. And then of course, you're also able to get speed. Her whole thing inside of her entire kit is speed, so getting that extra 10 speed does go a mile. So I think a lot of you guys would love to go ahead and invest into this character, mainly for those two reasons. But also seeing that the character herself can be used in a multitude of different teams here, I feel like it really boosts up her value a lot more than normal. Now for the next character that we're going to go ahead and talk about, this is going to be Ange. And all I have to say for her, once again, yes, everything about this character when it does come down to mental images is absolutely worth it. If you get the skill 1, obviously that's 20% extra HP, which although this isn't too crazy, it is still helpful because remember, a percentage of your stuff, or at least a percentage of your stats, are going to the rest of your teammates. So if you go ahead and max this out, this does help you out a little bit. Other than that, you're getting of course the skill buffs, which are absolutely amazing, but the skill 2, or at least her skill that allows her to get her attack percentage by 20%, is also going to be, this is going to be a huge thing for an offensive Navi to have. Seeing that she gets pinned by herself, getting the extra attack percent will absolutely help all the characters that you're paired with, allowing you to deal even more damage. This is definitely a character I feel like a lot of you guys should go ahead and invest into, especially if you're thinking about the mental image side. Now going ahead and checking out the next character that we're going to think about here. This character is going to be Makoto Yuki. Now Makoto Yuki is kind of in this same pit where I feel like as a DPS, you have to decide if you really do enjoy this DPS. And if you do, you're going to go ahead and invest into him because that gives you the max potential that you want to look for. As from a standpoint of meta usage, as well as a point that this character is insanely good, I would highly advise you guys to be very picky on him. Like, he's a good character. Keeping him long term is absolutely amazing, but this is where things are a little bit freaky or a little bit weird about him. Depending on your stats that you do have, you don't have to fully get these other ones because you will overcap. He does benefit off of a lot of pin, and if you're able to get this via cards or get this via using Ange here, you may not need to fully get up his mental images. But if you're just thinking about this as a character that you're going to use a lot, or a character that's meta-wise usage, this would be a mental stat or a mental image that you go ahead and invest into to the T. Mainly because the real thing that you want to pay attention to is going to be the skill highlight, which is actually amazing to go ahead and invest into. But it's also going to come down to just the extra amount of points that you can get from damage bonus and pin rates that can give you the damage that you're looking for. So if there is a character you want to go ahead and invest into for mental images, especially as a DPS, Makoto Yuki would be a good investment. Now, next character we're going to go ahead and look at is going to be Yukari. Now, Yukari is a interesting character here, and I would love to say that I do think that she needs all of her mental images, but this honestly isn't the case. Although she's very good here, I feel like this character is skippable on her mental images. The only ones that really do matter is technically her skill 1 and her skill 3, as well as her skill 2 and her highlight. Granted, I just wanted extra stats here and I ended up getting them anyways. I found out the hard way later down the line that it honestly wasn't really worth it, so I kind of messed up and I haven't went back to do it. Plus, with the character being how she is here, healers are used a little bit, but they're not heavily used in the meta or used a lot to that decision. So I feel like a lot of you guys can end up skipping out on her mental images, and it honestly won't hurt you, especially if you're a person that doesn't have too many of these rewards. Now going into the next character that we're going to talk about here, this is going to be Akihiko. Now Akihiko is kind of in a similar situation as Yukari, where the character is pretty darn decent, but the problem is going to come down to how often are they going to be used. As a DPS or as a person that you love them for, they do have some good mental images moves here, being that he boosts on attack, the big ones being that he gets 24% crit damage, and then obviously the rest of his skills are actually amazing. If you're just going off the things that the mental image itself does offer, he's worth going ahead and investing in. But if you're going off the character themselves and how the meta does kind of tune to them, I would say you guys want to go ahead and skip it. But once again, you like the character and then you like the stats that he does offer, it's a pretty good decision to go ahead and use all of what you want to use on the mental image stats here, and it won't really harm you. Just do understand, he doesn't get too much line, at least sight in the light. Okay, you know what I'm saying there. He doesn't get too much time in the light, so be careful when you are investing into his mindscape. And the next thing that we're going to go over is my queen being buried. Now, DPSs, I keep saying it all the dang time. When it does come down to them, you do have to be very picky. Seeing you have to know how much you're going to invest into them. And this is always just going to be the case with any DPS that you come by. Barry is one of the few characters that I highly invested into. So obviously I got my mental images up for her. And if you're highly investing into her, go ahead and get the mental image up. If you love her, obviously get the mental image up. But if we're going off of a meta standpoint, or as well as a little bit of the best stats that you can get out of here, she's kind of in the medium range for like the stats you get out of here. You get some damage bonus, which is fairly useful, but at the same time, you don't always need it. While the thing that you do want is obviously the pierce rate. Pierce rate is absolutely one of the best things that she can end up getting out of this. Plus, with the extra skill enforcement that she gets, is actually amazing to absolutely have. Though you could go ahead and use those mats elsewhere. Now, on the standpoint of the absolute meta here, then this character would definitely be a character you want to go ahead and go for the mental images. So hands down, go for the mental images on this character. She definitely does make it worth it. Though if you want to save a little bit of mats, don't be worried, you can very well do so, seeing that not all the things that she does offer is fully needed. All right, so going ahead and looking into Summer Marian here. This is another character that I feel like a lot of you guys are really going to invest into, and it's primarily because not only she's just the best unit in the game when it does come down to the buffing, but it also is because she comes out with a whole set of mental images that are very helpful. The HP that she needs, you need it in her kit, and it's immensely useful, meaning you want to go ahead and dupe that on out. The things with her skills and highlights, no matter what you're doing, definitely want to go ahead and get it because it does amplify a decent bit. And then going down to the stat 2 that she ends up having, even the crit damage you get off of her is 24%. So she pretty much checks all the boxes, on top of being a stunning looking character and an absolute unit when it does come down to buffing. So I think a lot of you guys do want to get her mental image done. So I would say go ahead and get this mental image big time and prep for it as much as possible if you're looking forward to get this character. Going on to our next unit that we should go ahead and talk about here. This is going to be Summer Puppet. Now, Summer Puppet is also an insanely good character here. The only thing that's a little bit different with her is she's like a different type of breed of DPS. Unlike the other DPSs where there's some stats you probably wouldn't use on her, every stat that's offered in her mindscape is just like Summer Marian, where they're freaking cracked. You're usually going to be using this, which gives you 20% extra attack, absolutely affecting her entire kit, as well as you're getting 12% crit rate, absolutely affecting her entire kit, plus her skills all are freaking good. So with this in mind, everything in her mental images is absolutely insane. So investing into her mental image is definitely a yes. If you do want to go ahead and not do so just because you don't like the character, that's perfectly fine. But this character comes back in meta a lot, especially seeing that she is the main head of the ice side of things, and she does too much damage for her own good. Now going ahead and moving on to the next character here, we're going to talk about Blitz or Katayama. Now, Katayama is another character that I feel like for a lot of you guys is going to be more of an invest in, for obvious reasons. If I can go ahead and find her, which there she is, for obvious reasons here. And who can deny a baddie like this? She's absolutely amazing here that I think a lot of you guys really want to go ahead and invest into. But the reason why I say a lot of you guys should consider skipping investing into her mental images is not because of her look. It's actually because this character herself is only good if you really want to invest into her to a high amount here. Granted, she did get a buff that made her insanely good as well at A0, as well as made her weapon a little bit better too. But I say when it does come down to this character, not to invest into it too much, mainly because debuffers just aren't used enough. If you are using this character and you really love her, investing into her mental image is not going to be a bad decision at all, of course. But if you're looking for meta wise or looking for anything of that nature here, don't invest into this mental image. It has really good stats, seeing that it does help out on speed. Her skill 1, skill 2, and her highlight skills are absolutely amazing. But for example, crit rate really isn't needed for her because unless you're A16, you're not going to be using her as a DPS, so that's one use of stat. But also alongside of this here, the character themselves, we don't use debuffers. If anything, even if you A6 a debuffer, 9 out of 10 you could have A6 the buffer, making the buffer way more worth it than debuffer. Unfortunately, inside of P5X, debuffers keep getting a little bit of the backhand inside of the game, so it does kind of suck to see it, but I wouldn't invest into this mental image unless you just love her. Now, all right, let's go ahead and go to the next character, being Yui Prism. Now, Yui Prism is another character that I feel like a lot of you guys are going to absolutely enjoy here, and this is one of the few characters that honestly I thought, oh wait, here it is, I was looking at the wrong Yui, whoopsie. This is one of the few characters that I gotta say I just invested into because she's actually cracked as a character as a whole. When it does come down to the stats that she does offer, 3 out of the 4 stats are absolutely amazing for her, and that's mainly because, of course, her skills that we do have here, which I am gonna finish that all the way out, by the way, but also because of the crit damage that she has. This is absolutely insane to have for her, making her even more of a unit to absolutely be reckoned with. And she still gets that extra 20% attack. Still a great unit and all. I would definitely invest into her mental image if you pick her up, because she is insanely good and she's probably the best DPS in the game when it does come down to single target. So I think a lot of you guys should invest into her mental image. It's not going to hurt you. If you don't invest into it, it's not the end of the world either. You can just wait. Going into our next character in line here that we're going to go over, and this happened at 4.6.1, it's going to be Mitsuru. Mitsuru is another character that I feel like a lot of you guys are going to enjoy, and she actually has a bunch of good stats as well. Just like, of course, our Bowie here, every last one of her stats are pretty much golden. You don't really need the attack percent too much, but it's still pretty nice to invest into. The main reason that I say investing into her is not a bad deal is because her recent showing inside of the meta has been quite high. With the addition of Fuuka here, you can easily swap her in as an extra character, or you can just keep her into the party in general for a couple of teams. And honestly, she can go with a bunch of different teams just depending on whatever she do. Whether it's going to be Yui Prism, whether it's with Makoto Yuki, as long as she's paired with one of them, she's going to deal some crazy damage and still offer a lot to the team. So investing into the mental image for her in the future honestly wouldn't be a bad idea, and is a yes from me. All right, so going into our next character as well, slowly getting to the end here, we are going to be looking at Fuuka. Now, Fuuka is another character that I feel like a lot of you guys are heavily going to invest into. The main reason for this is because she's a Navi. At the end of the day, it's kind of hard to deny a Navi from getting all her stats here, and she's no different. Every last one of her skills are absolutely necessary, seeing that they do share stats with everyone, but she's getting attack percentage and crit damage out of here, making this absolutely amazing, alongside with her skills and highlights getting some nice buffs. I say highlights, but I keep forgetting Navis don't have one, so usually you're going to just be using skills. Every last one of the things that she has in here is immediately good to have, so I do suggest you guys to go ahead and invest into her mental images. Now, going on to our next character here, which is the second to last character that we're going to be talking about. This is going to be Shoki, or Luce. Now, Luce, without a doubt, I have a lot of bias to this character, seeing that he's just cool in his OG fashion, being the 4-star version. But when they came out with this version, man, he took the show away. And with how much damage he's able to deal, I definitely say his mental image is absolutely worth it, especially if you're picking the character up. He gets damage bonus, which is needed inside of his kit, crit damage, which is insanely good by 24%, and obviously helping out his entire kit, being the skill 1, highlight, skill 2, and skill 3. All of this stuff makes a giant difference inside the character here, and he's able to hit numbers that have not been seen inside this game at all just yet. And that's at A0. So I think it's actually good to get this character on up and get the mental images, especially if you're a person who really wants to invest into it. Lastly, going to our next character being Soy. Now, Soy Pioneer is one of the newer characters inside the entire game, being of course a defender. And this is one of the few characters that I gotta say, he's pretty darn good, and I would invest into only one thing on him. As good as he does do here, he is very meta-wise, but only if you're alongside of Shoki. If you don't have Shoiki, then I mean, like, he's still good, but a lot of the things that he gets from his Mindscape isn't all too needed. For example, the HP that you do have on him is pretty darn nice, but you can easily just make this up inside of his kit. And honestly, his kit gives him enough, so getting this is just honestly extra. As for the other stat that you end up getting being the shield, it's also pretty darn nice, but you're not going to be using it for that. You're mainly going to be boosting this character for his skill 2 and his skill 3. So investing into his mental image is kind of useless unless you are heavily invested into the team. If you're not heavily invested into the team, or at least invested into the character, I would suggest a lot of you guys to go ahead and skip. But that's just my personal thought process on it. But with that all out the way here, hopefully you guys found this as a very helpful video here. It took me some time going through my entire list, and even some time between the characters. I had to pause for a long period because I had to keep doing cuts and just doing everything a little bit over here, and it was very annoying. But honestly, hope you guys find it very, very helpful. You guys asked for it a lot, so I tried to deliver. But till then, everybody, thank you for watching. Peace on out.